everyone. Welcome to Christiana's Psychic Cafe. I'm so glad you're here. Today's show, the big challenge is, will I be able to get through it without crying? So far as I've gone through my notes and looked at the videos I have for you, I have not been able to do so. Now I'm wearing eye makeup, and so the stakes are higher. So stick around to see if I actually mess up my makeup today. Okay, what are we doing today? Today is our Creating a Better World show. What I've done is I've asked about 12 different people, a whole variety of people, to tell me very simply, very succinctly, what is one thing we can do to create a better world? Wait till you see the answers we got. Unbelievable. I think, one statement is, I know a lot of really cool people. But more importantly than that, we have such wonderful ideas, and I think so often it's very easy for us to feel disempowered, like the problems are so big, and there's nothing that one person can do to make a difference. Well, by the time we finish tonight, I think you'll know that we all make a difference, and you'll have an opportunity to make a difference as well. You'll have an opportunity to call in or to chat in with your own ideas on creating a better world. But before we get to that, of course, we have our new feature, the Card of the Week, drawn at random, live, and we're about to do that right now. What is our Card of the Week going to be? Okay, nothing like a challenge to start things out. We have the Ten of Swords. If you're a tarotist, you're either laughing or crying right now. If you're not, you're looking at the image and you're saying, ooh, that's scary. But here's the thing to remember, and I think it really is pertinent to our show tonight, to our topic. In the language of tarot, these swords, and you can see that the guy here is impaled by 10 swords, not a pleasant image at all. But in the language of tarot, these swords represent our thoughts. This is what happens when we let our thoughts and our beliefs lay us low. If we can change our thoughts, if we can change our beliefs, we change this situation. And what a great way to go forward into our topic today. Now, I do want to let you know that at the end of the show, we have a very fitting song from String Band, and I'm very excited to share that with you. Before we get started on our topic, though, I just received these Magical Times Empowerment cards, and I've done a review of them, and I'd like to share that review with you. So let's run the review now, and we'll come back to Creating a Better World. Hi, folks. This is Christiana Gaudet with a review of the brand new Magical Times Empowerment cards. This new deck comes from U.S. Gates. The artist and author is Jody Bergsma. Now, the great thing about an oracle deck is, unlike tarot or Lenormand, it really doesn't require any study. You can get the deck today and right away be using it for insight, contemplation, connection to spirit, creative prompts, anything that you would use an oracle for. This is literally ready for you right out of the box. And speaking of box, one of the things I love best about this deck is its beautiful box. So often, with tarot, with Lenormand, when we get the decks, we put the box aside and we wrap it in silk, or we put it in a special pouch or a special box. With this oracle deck, you don't really need to do this. If you're going to pull a card a day or something like that, as you can see, it's ready for you. You can just keep the deck in the pretty box, and there it is. So I really think the detail that's gone into the packaging of this deck is worth mentioning. Now, what's the deck look like? First of all, it's 44 cards. It comes with a little white book that's the same size as the cards, and we'll talk about the book in just a moment. But here are the cards. They are larger and more square than most tarot decks, and certainly Lenormand decks. Each card has a one-word name. This is friendship. This is flexibility. This is faith. Expectation is here. Some of the other words: kindness, manifestation, mercy, metamorphosis, cycles, dance, destiny, dignity, discernment, dreamer, elegance, energy, gratitude, happiness, healing, humor, integrity, journey, creation, confidence, action, adversity, anticipation, awareness, change, clarity, love, power, pilgrimage, partnership, nature, quest, prosperity, rebirth, reconciliation, sacred space, sanctuary, strength, union, gentleness. 44 words, 44 cards. Each card also has an illustration, and I don't think anyone could say that this art is anything other than beautiful. It's definitely fantasy art. Fairies, dragons, dolphins, Celtic symbols, symbols from sacred geometry. Here we have strength, it's a polar bear. Sacred space, a dragonfly. So if you like this kind of art, again, we see some Celtic symbols here with prosperity. This is a nice deck for you. Now, at the bottom of each card, there are directives, directive instructions. For instance, for prosperity, focus on the positive and more good will come. Give thanks for blessings and they will multiply. Prosperity begins in the mind. That's a good message. And you can see the card backs are also lovely and reversible. For quest, and here we see a fairy riding on a winged, feathered thing. Be bold and mighty forces will aid you. Take action. Good luck favors the brave. These are great messages. Now, some of them, few, very few, really have me scratching my head. Like, for instance, gentleness, and we see this very lovely image for gentleness. Strength is gentle. True kindness has wings. Love in action endures. I love the first line. I love the third line. True kindness has wings. What does that mean? Wasps have wings. Lots of things have wings. I assume what she's saying is that when you are kind, it takes flight and maybe goes other places. I don't know. I think there would be easier, better ways to say that. Now, that brings us to the Little White Book. The very first line of the Little White Book drives me nuts. The section is called To Begin Your Readings, and this is how it starts. Like all things, Magical Times empowerment cards are a living energy, and it is good to align with their life force. Now, she goes on to talk about how to bond with the cards, how to make the deck really yours, and that's important information. But let's go back to this. Like all things, Magical Time empowerment cards are a living energy. All things are not a living energy. This lamp is not a living energy. I wish she had been as careful with the writing of this project as she was with the art. That's all. Now, one of the things I love in this book is she gives 3 spreads. One is a single card spread, what path should I choose? One is a 3-card empowerment spread. How did I get here and what is happening? And finally, we have a very interesting 5-card elemental influences spread that really is a ritual that calls on wisdom from the 5 elements. I really like these spreads. I like the way that they're described, and I think that they themselves are very empowering, giving a person confidence to work with the cards this deeply, and also maybe inspiring some custom spreads that the individual might design. So let's do a 1-card reading with this deck. And what I'm going to do is, you know what my favorite question is, what does the universe want me to know right now? Change. This is the card of change. Very beautiful image. It looks like a fairy on a butterfly. You are transforming. Let go of the past. Embrace the light and joy of this new day. What a beautiful message. Now, back to the Little White Book, I want to share with you that not only does she have these written directives on each card, she actually has an affirmation for each card. It's in alphabetical order. Each affirmation starts with the words, "Today I will." So it's an affirmation for the day. And let's see what the affirmation is. I have change. Today I will embrace transformation. I have the courage to let go of the past. I will eliminate negatives in my life and make room for all things positive and beautiful. I can choose to grow, and I know it is I who must do the choosing. I give thanks for this new day, a new start, and a new life. Okay, some people may say, well, that's a little hairy-fairy Pollyanna positive, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with a positive message and a positive affirmation? So if you like positive messages, if you like oracle decks, and if you like beautiful fantasy artwork, I think you will really enjoy Magical Times Empowerment Cards. So lighten the mood a little bit after the Ten of Swords. It's a very positive deck. I hope you enjoyed that. And now I'd like to, before we play the Creating a Better World video, I'd like to just share with you a little bit about the process that we went through to make this happen. It was just sort of an idea. Remember back to St. Patrick's Day, I had a few people on talking about their take on St. Patrick's Day. And I thought, well, that was fun. What if we asked people a really tough, really important question? And I put it out on Facebook. Everyone that I asked agreed to do it. There were a couple of people where our schedules didn't quite work. Some of us had better Skype connections than others. So with some, we have the full video. With other, I show you their beautiful pictures. But I think the audio is good. I think you'll be able to get what we're talking about here. And the variety of people that I have here, just wonderful. A lot of them are people you know. We have Bear from String Band, and again, we'll be playing a string band song later on. We have Robin Renee. We have her music on from time to time. And of course, actually, we have her music on every week. She does our intro and outro. We have a person that I met the very moment, essentially, that I asked him the question, an organic farmer. We have a model, a fashion model. We also have one of my oldest and dearest friends, someone I've known since the 1970s. Her name is Martha, and she happens to be a Christian pastor. Of course, we have our usual cast of characters, some people from Penn, Anita Perez, and Tarot Title. We have Helene Martz with us as well, and the Mad Happy family. So wide variety of people. And as I was getting ready for the show today, I was just sort of cruising through the internet, and I found this great story. And this actually reminds me a lot of my friend Martha, and I closed our video with Martha. I think she said it all in one word. This is a story of a pastor in California. She's the pastor of the Fairview Community Church. And what caught my eye on the internet was, you know how churches outside, I'm sure there's a name for this, but there's almost like a bulletin board where the pastor can put whatever's coming up next Sunday on it. And this one for the Fairview Community Church says, Interfaith Dialogue, Wicca and Christianity, Sunday at 10 a.m. Now, isn't that exactly what we need? And isn't that a great pastor who would be willing to do that? Again, my friend Martha's a lot like that too. Well, of course, the pastor did receive some criticism and some concern. And so she wrote a letter to those who had communicated with her their concern. And I wanted to share this letter with you. Maybe or maybe not. I'll get through this without crying. But I think this is just awesome. And when we talk about creating a better world, this is exactly the energy that we're looking for. Dear concerned Christian neighbor, I want to genuinely thank you for your care and prayers for our church. I'm glad our sign caught your attention and made you stop and think. I am not worried about your fears of me leading my church down the wrong path. We obviously have different beliefs about God. That said, we believe that there is power in knowledge. We believe that our faith cannot be destroyed by learning about the faith of another. And ultimately, we believe that God and Jesus call us to be open, loving, and tolerant. We also don't believe we'll go to hell because we have a Wiccan in our sanctuary and have a conversation about her faith. And while we may seem incredibly radical to you, we're actually in line with a major Christian denomination, the Roman Catholic Church. Pope Francis just reminded us that Jesus challenged the disciples' intolerance of those who were different. Jesus broadens the horizon, the Pope affirms. The Lord has redeemed all of us, not just Catholics, everyone, even the atheists, everyone. So you see, even the Pope knows that God loves us and redeems us all. Therefore, the most important path is the path of righteousness, doing good deeds, caring for the poor, seeking justice, and living peace. If he's not worried, neither am I. But thank you for your concern and prayers. I will reciprocate and pray for you. I'll pray that we might live in a community that values our differences and seeks to find our commonalities, that will refuse to let our own ignorance cause us to live in fear of the other, and that we Christians can follow in Jesus' example. Finally, perhaps you, like me, know very little about Wicca. If that is the case, I invite you to join us on Sunday morning for our Interfaith Dialogue Day to learn more about the tradition. I think that all of us will leave more enlightened than when we came in. So hats off to Reverend Sarah Halverson of Fairview Community Church in California for really showing us what a true Christian looks like. Now you're going to see Christians, pagans, you're going to see musicians, artists, all kinds of people, all different ages, sharing their ideas about what we can do to create a better world. While you're watching it, I want you to think about it. Once the video's over, I'm going to ask you the same question, and I'm going to ask you to call in or chat in the chat room with your own ideas. What is one thing we can do to create a better world? Let's watch it now.
My name is Helene Marks, and I am a psychic tarot reader, and I am a practicing pagan, a witch, and I run some groups that honor the sacred feminine. So I teach and I write about those things.
Terrific. So, our question for today. What is one thing we can do to create a better world?
You know, when you gave me that question, there were dozens of things that kind of jumped out at me. And I'm like, okay, Helene, you have to really make it short and sweet. She's got a lot of fabulous guests. So the one word that kept jumping out at me was community. That's what I kept getting. And, I thought sustainability, all these different things, but community can bring all those things about. And for me personally, I live in the Jersey Shore. So during the hurricanes, people came out, they supported one another. We saw it with Katrina. We see this in Texas. We saw it with the tsunami. You see people come together and people can do incredible things when they form community. But as a whole, we don't do that. Generally people keep to themselves. And there's that old adage, it takes a tribe to raise a child. And I think part of what's wrong with the world today and what could be right about it and what is right about it is when we come together and when we all work together as community. Whether it's creating a co-op where you purchase, sustainable foods, organic foods, or, watching out for each other's children. I don't know about you, but when I grew up, if I did something wrong, by the time I got to my house within a 10-minute, you're laughing because okay, we're from that generation. My mother was waiting there for me, and I knew I was going to get it because about 3 or 4 people had called and reported it. We don't have that sense of community. And that's what I think. One thing I do want to show is, a while ago I had asked Spirit, what do I need to do? Where do I go on my journey now? And I decided to pull a tarot card, and it was really interesting because from the guy in tarot, Joanna Powell, I don't know, I'm trying to get it on here and we're not getting it, but I pulled the 3 of Earth card. And to me, and the message I heard when I pulled it was, let's see if we try this way, was build a house of the goddess. And what's really funny is, again, today, when I was like, well, what's the one really quick answer I can give Christiana? And I said, let me pull a card. And I got this card again. So it's building community. That would be my answer.
And it's a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you back on the show.
I love chatting with you. I love being here. And if anybody's looking, she's got some fabulous artwork behind her. There's a beautiful tapestry rug. She's got a beautiful poster. And is that a drum up above?
It is indeed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Hi. My name is Amy Foreman.
And what do you do?
I'm a professional entertainer, performance artist, and model.
Perfect.
And a mother.
And a mother. Okay. And Amy, what's one thing that we could do to create a better world?
Of course, there are many things, we can do to create a better world, but I think that if we're choosing to focus on one thing, I would say it's one thing we can do is go within, and deal with our stuff, and make peace with things, because I believe that a lot of chaos is created externally, that has begun internally. And, we all have the child within us that needs to be nurtured and cared for. And I think that, it's just being willing to look honestly within ourselves at the issues over time, taking your time with it, not putting too much stress on yourself or even going too deep into things that you're not ready for, but just being willing to start that journey and let it unfold.
Wow. So if each one of us focuses on our own healing, the world itself will be elevated.
Yes, I believe it would be a natural, occurrence.
Brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much, Amy, for being with us today.
We are the Mad Happy Family Band.
Terrific. It's nice to see you here. And what do you do?
You're looking at it.
Whatever the moment calls for. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's web design and blogging. Sometimes it's hair design and making skincare products.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. What is one thing that we can do to create a better world?
We can cultivate fearlessness.
But I think he means following our desires, and I don't mean that in a really sort of base way, even though I do. I just mean, what we really want, going after what we really want, whatever that happens to be,
And not letting fear confuse us and think that the things that we detest are the things that we want. Because we get this strong feeling from something and we think, well, that's what I want, but it might actually be like, that's what I don't want.
Yes.
Right. So living without fear, being bold and fearless, and going for what we want and not being confused by fear.
Well, not being confused by fear, but embracing fear. Because if you try to live without fear, then fear does control you.
Right. You can't be afraid of fear.
Right. Beautiful. Exactly. I love it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this, and it's so great to see you and your family here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be a part of your wonderful,
Ashira says hi.
Awesome community, Christiana. We love it.
And we love you. Thanks so much.
All right. I hope we get to see you soon.
Well, my name's Adam Castellano. I'm an organic farmer. I work on a farm that we are eventually going to design as an educational demonstration farm for sustainability and organic agriculture practice. So
cool. So it sounds like you may already be doing this, but let me ask you the question. Mm-hmm. What is one thing we can do to create a better world?
Education, I think, is the biggest thing. There's so many things, but really education. Making sure that we have all the knowledge available to us in order to utilize whatever resources are put in front of us. If we don't have the education, then we can't make use of the other things that are in our lives, that are potentially there to help us. So certainly education would be one of the biggest things,
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. And I love what you're doing, creating food for us. That's a wonderful thing.
Truly.
And I want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Name?
Hi, I'm Robin Renee.
And what do you do?
I'm a singer-songwriter and a kirtan artist.
And where are you in the world?
I am in southern New Jersey, very close to Philadelphia.
Okay, Robin Renee, what is one thing we can do to create a better planet?
I believe in activism without anger. And I think what I mean by that is that, of course, we get angry sometimes. I mean, there are reasons to be pissed off in the world, But there's a thing that I see in the world right now where it's very us against them, and it's very angry, and it's like people butting heads all the time, And I really feel like there are what we need to do are find ways to get the work done that's important to create change without generating this, complete anger and disdain for other people that disagree. I think there's got to be a way ultimately to create positive spaces to be and to live and to thrive in a way that's different than how we've been going about it.
Well, my name is Gary Karp, and I am the business owner of both Permission Granted and RBG Tarot. Through Permission Granted, I do most of my life coaching work through NLP and through hypnosis, helping people overcome their limiting beliefs, limiting behaviors, whatever challenges they may have, so they can live better lives. And, of course, through RBG Tarot, I help people with tarot-related issues. They come to me for advice, or they come to me because they want me to entertain at their parties or their corporate events, which I absolutely love doing. And both of them just allow me to do my life stream, which is help people, which is what I love doing as well.
Perfect. Okay, Gary, what is one thing we can do to create a better world?
Wow, one thing. Can only say one, right? because we could be here for hours on this question. I love this question. Really, the one thing I believe we can do to help make a better world is get rid of the need to be right. So many of us sit there and we think in terms of right and wrong. If you look at in the United States, our political climate right now, we can't get anything done because of gridlock, because the Democrats on one side, the Republicans are on the other, and they're not willing to admit that there may be a different way. The only way you can get to compromise and the only way you can learn is if you realize you don't know everything, that your way is not the right way, it's just the right way for you. And I think we would be much better served if we put aside the need to be right and convince everyone else to come to our side. We would be able to have dialogue that was constructive, informative, educational, and maybe solve a lot of the world's issues if we just stopped having the need to be right.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much, Gary. I really appreciate you participating in this project, and we'll look forward to having you back on the Psychic Cafe in the future.
Thank you, Christiana. It's my pleasure.
Hi, Christiana. I am Tarot Title, and I host a show on PEN. I do home health care in my real life, and I try to be a decent human being. That's who I am.
That's beautiful. Okay, answer this question. What is one thing we can do to create a better world?
You know, I have been thinking about this since last week when you mentioned the topic, and I love it. I think there's a lot of things we can do that can bring change right now, and one person can make a change. My favorite quote in the whole world was by George Washington Carver, and I try to model my life after that. And what he said was, how far you go in life depends on how tender you are with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant with the weak and the strong, because someday in your life you will have been all of these. And I love that. And I think one of the most important things that'll have a ripple effect, that if we as people lose our attitudes of entitlement and apathy and dismissiveness, and embrace the responsibility we have to be stewards of the earth and care for one another as human beings, and we shift our whole idea in the relationship of man. People always think of it as being this pyramid with man on the top, and that's not right. We need to think of it as being a circle and all of us being dependent on one another. We need to recognize that if somebody else is hurting or they're suffering or if they're in lack, we all are, because we're all part of one thing. And that was, I think, some of the main attitudes that made the civil rights movement so successful. And it served them well. And I think that's a wonderful quilt of love and sacrifice and care and compassion that we could put on again and embrace, and it would make marvelous changes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you again. And of course, people can see you on your show on PEN, as well as occasionally here on the Psychic Cafe. So we thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
You too.
Well, I'm Bear from the string band. Some people know me as on chat line and stuff from Encounters, Para Encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm here at Strange Creek, which is an outdoor festival in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And right now I'm doing a dialysis treatment. It's kind of cold and wet outside, but we've been having a great time these past few days.
Terrific. And in the background, we can't see her, but your wife, Beth, the mandolin player, is by your side helping with your treatment. Is that right?
Yes, my wife, Beth, and my nurse, Beth, and awesomeness, Beth.
She is awesome. Okay, so our question for today is this. what is one thing we can do to create a better world?
Well, I think personally it's got a lot to do with compassion for each other, and compassion for this world that we live in. You know, there's so many things that you could do, and they've been over the past years. They've been shoved in your face every time you turn the TV on and stuff, to recycle and whatnot. So those are the things you have to do. It's getting the compassion to actually do those things and just not talk about them. But that's what it boils down to. It's just in one word, is compassion. And as the same thing for the people that you meet. They may be a complete stranger, but if there's some way that they need help and you have something you can do to help them, then you should. That kind of thing. A little bit of love for each other and a little bit of love for the earth.
My name is Anita Perez. I am also known as Luminaria Star, and I'm a tarot reader and diviner. I use a variety of different kinds of divination methods. I have been a pagan since 1975, when I was 19 years old. And I'm also a crafts artisan and a performance artist. I'm an author. There isn't anything that I won't try to turn my hand to and haven't done before, practically, with a few notable exceptions. I've never been an astronaut. But I've tried most everything else and had lots of adventures. I live in Maine. What more can I tell you?
You live in Maine, and you also have your own show right here on this network, Penn. Isn't that right?
That's true. Well, actually, I have two shows.
Okay, go ahead and do the quick plug.
Okay. Tonight, as a matter of fact, I will be airing the show that I do solo called Aphrodite's Kitchen. We will be interviewing a friend of mine, Ruby Ensminger, and she's a storyteller and a crafts artisan also. And tomorrow night at midnight, my friend Tara Tidal and I will be hosting the Alchemical Artisans Hour. Okay. And we'll be interviewing Susanna Budapest.
That's huge. So
it is huge.
This will actually be airing Sunday. So we're going to translate for people. Right. Every Thursday night, at what time?
Every Thursday night at 8 p.m. is Aphrodite's Kitchen.
And every Friday night?
At midnight is the Alchemical Artisans Hour.
And the two shows that you just told us about will be available in archive. Is that correct?
Yes, on YouTube. And I should also give a plug for my friend Tara Tidal, whose show Pagan Propensities airs immediately after Aphrodite's Kitchen at 9 p.m. All of these times are Eastern.
Perfect. So we're just taking over Penn. That's what's happening. So beyond taking over Penn, what is one thing that we can do to create a better world?
See all life as sacred.
Ooh. Oh, that's awesome. Perfect. Do you want to expand on that at all? I mean, I think that says it all.
Treat each other with love, the way that you would want to be treated if you were in their shoes. Value all life, not just human life, not just the life of your family and friends, all life, animal life, plant life, the life of the forests and the deserts and the seas, life that we don't even know about from other dimensions and other planets. All life is sacred, and the more that we can keep that in the forefront of our attention, the better off we will all be.
Thank you, Christiana. My name is Martha Vink, and I am a pastor at the United Ministry of Delhi in the Catskill Mountains in New York.
Beautiful. And who are you?
I'm Kelly Clark, and I'm a parent, and I'm a director of a day treatment program, and I work doing other kinds of healing arts too.
Terrific. Okay. Either individually or together, whichever you prefer, tell me, what is one thing we can do to create a better world?
I think the one thing we can do is live with intention, and with love being our intention.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Martha, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, well, I'm all about love, and I think that if people were just kind to one another, it would make a big difference in the world.
Wow. And living with intention, loving with intention, and being kind.
Simple and yet challenging.
Absolutely. Ladies, I want to thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All the best.
My name is Helene Moore.
Is there a dry eye in the house? What a great group of people. What amazing messages. And maybe the big message is we all have the power to make a difference. And now it's your turn. I'd like you to think about this and maybe chat in your ideas in the chat room if you're on the chat room with us tonight, or pick up the phone. Give us a call, 615-692-1262, and you tell me, what is one thing we can do to create a better world? String band Bear from the string band, and we're going to be hearing from the string band in just a moment. He likes what Martha had to say. Kindness. And she is one of the kindest people I know. I've known her since I was 14. And she's been a wonderful family friend for many years. Joanne in the chat room says her one word would be respect for each other, for our differences, for the earth, and for everything. That's beautiful, Joanne. Ivy earlier on agreed with the Mad Happy family that fearlessness is the way to go. And did you see that beautiful family at the very end of their clip? Did you see the older sister reach over and give her little sister a kiss? I thought that was just beautiful. Ivy says, do not be fearful. Go boldly into life. Absolutely. And what about Amy's message? I thought that was really interesting, that what we each need to do is go within and find our own healing. And as we are each healed, the earth will be elevated. How lovely is that? And of course, Helene, how simple. Community. The idea that we do come together to help each other in times of need, but why not come together all the time? So think about it. What is one thing we can do to create a better world? One of the things that always creates a better world for me is music. And Sean of Live Bands Touring has made a video available for us today. It is string band playing a Donna the Buffalo song that I think really sums up the theme of today's show. We'll be back after the song with more of your ideas about what we can do to create a better world. But let's hear some music now.
Let's catch your breath. We're here for Live Bands Touring. That's Sean Morse. Let's give a little handout for Shawnee Morse who put this all together.
Hey, Sean, thank you.
And it continues. Yeah, Sean. And it continues to do great things for local live bands touring here in Connecticut.
Woo. All right.
Well, yeah, where's Sean? He's giving away stuff and everything.
Anybody like some Donna the Buffalo?
sun still sinking in its usual way. No doubt a circle in this universal maze. Round and round till the monkey steps their feet on the ground. Wake up and light the tree that you climb on. Grab your release and greet the new morning sun. No doubt out on a limb when you turn it on. Climb, 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 every day's just a state of mind. My, everybody gets high on love, 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 everybody gets high. My, everybody gets high, everybody gets high on love. And the static in between a wise man and a fool. Here's a riddle in the middle, it'll do you no good. No doubt a reason to believe in Byzantine. There's no read between the lines on the TV screen. My, everybody gets high on love, 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 everybody gets by. My, everybody gets high, everybody gets high on love. Jet set and rock bottom, take a seat at the beach. What you got and what you not may be a bit out of reach. No doubt a silly prospect and a waste of time. Shine, 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 every day is just a state of mind. My, everybody gets high on love, 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 everybody gets high. My, everybody gets high, everybody gets high on love.
It's,
Thank you so much to String Band and to Sean Morris from Live Bands Touring for making that available to us. That really fit in with the theme of today's show, I think. And we have just a few minutes left. So if you would like to call in and talk to us about what you think one thing we could do to create a better world would be, by all means do. Pick up the phone, 615-692-1262. And now I'm going to go to our show's producer, the Yeti himself. Yeti, what is one thing we could do to create a better world?
I've always thought, Christiana, and thank you for asking me, by the way, I have always thought that if we loved ourselves the best way we should, that all the big problems would take care of themselves. Start small and the big problems go away.
And I think that's absolutely right. And I think that goes back to what Amy was saying at the beginning of the video, that if we go within and sort of work out our own stuff, and so often our own stuff is one way or the other that we don't love ourselves. If we can work that out, then everything goes right along. And I completely agree. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, you know, it's an interesting question to ask tarot. I've also been blogging about this process. I have to say the process of putting it was a 20-minute video, but it took hours and hours and hours to coordinate schedules and actually do the interviews and edit them down and all of that. So I've been working on this for a couple of weeks, and I've been blogging about it. And in my blog at tarottrends.com, if you want to check it out, I decided to pull a tarot card. Let tarot answer that question. What is one thing we can do to create a better world? And my tarot friends are going to love this. I think the rest of you will love this when we explain it to you. The card I pulled, the Hierophant reversed. Now, the Hierophant, of course, originally was the Pope. It is a spiritual card, but it has its limitations. In the same way, excuse me, I don't mean to offend anyone, but in the same way that the Pope does. A lot of the Hierophant is about the rules, the structure, the way it's supposed to be. You have to follow the rules. You have to do it this way because we've always done it this way. And the Hierophant reversed, for me, is very much about thinking outside the box. You don't have to do it the way we've always done it. And I think it's interesting that in the video, a lot of people really talked about spirituality and politics. And they didn't come right out and say, well, it's about spirituality and politics, but they kind of did. They talked about the divisions that we're facing in the world right now. And this is the way to get outside of those divisions, that it's not about what's written in a book. It's about what we share in our hearts, and we have to think outside of the box to make that happen. And in the chat room, okay, so this is what Tarot Title now thinks we should do. We should all hold hands and sing, "We Are the World." Okay? Joanne thinks perhaps I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. And that was an interesting thing. For those of us who are old enough to remember this, back in the 1970s, it was a Coca-Cola commercial that actually turned into a pop song on the charts. So that was an interesting thing. Anita says something else we can do is to administer hugs freely. And that's absolutely right. So what does it come down to? It comes down to love. It comes down to kindness. I loved what Gary had to say. Let go of the idea that we always have to be right. So, what's one thing we can all do to make this a better world? To have the conversation, to recognize that it's possible to make change. Okay, in the chat room, and she's coming in the chat room as IG, but I'm pretty sure that IG in the chat room is Helene, I think. And her thought, of course, is about organized religion. And yes, the Hierophant is the card of organized religion. Now, when we reverse it, does that mean get rid of all organized religion? Well, no, we can't do that. But maybe, again, it goes back to what Gary was saying, that we can all worship how we want to worship, and we can all believe what works for us. But maybe to fight wars, and again, I mean no offense, but to fight wars over whose imaginary friend is better is probably not a great idea. Joanne says, I think we need more than just loving ourselves. We all need to love each other, not just ourselves. Like I said, respect, not hate, not jealousy, not insisting you be exactly like me, tolerance. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot to talk about. I want to thank everyone who took time out of their busy schedules to participate in this project with me. I hope you keep thinking and keep talking to other people, spreading the message that it doesn't take a lot to change the world. And if we can talk about it and if we can ask each other's questions, there's a lot that we can do. Now, on next week's Psychic Cafe, we're going to be doing a lot of tarot. If you like tarot, you're going to love next week's show. The one and only Jean Fiorini is going to be with me. She is a tarot author. Her company is called Tarot Works, and she is also a stand-up comedian. So we're going to have some fun. And I have to just share with you something that's going by in the chat room really quickly before we say goodnight. Anita says, my imaginary friend tells me to say hello to your imaginary friend. Perfect. Perfect. If our higher power and our way of seeing higher power can embrace everyone else's way of seeing higher power, we'll be just fine. I want to remind you, I've got some great webinars coming up. Go to tarotbychristiana.com, check out the calendar, sign up for my newsletter if you don't already receive it, and if you'd like to book a reading with me by Skype or phone, all the information you need is there at tarotbychristiana.com. I want to thank you so much for being a part of Christiana's Psychic Cafe, making the world better. We'll see you next week. Thanks again.